What's up, everybody? Welcome to Yoga with Maria. I'm Maria, and today we're practicing sitting poses. So we're going to break down 3 simple seated postures that are variations of crossing the ankles, the heels, or the shins. They're called sukhasana, siddhasana, and svastikasana. And so once we get into this, you'll see that you've probably done them before in a yoga practice. They're quite common, but it'll be a nice way to break down the difference between each one and see which one feels right for you. So grab your mat, grab a blanket for today's practice, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, and let's get started. Alrighty, yogis, today we're exploring sitting postures. So grab your blanket and come to sit on it. So let's just have the legs out in front of us to start. Notice if this feels tough to sit on the ground like this. You might need to bring another blanket on top. I recommend, if you already have a blanket and it feels too low to the ground, go grab a pillow or 2 from your bed and hoist yourself up. So the first pose we're going to explore is called sukhasana, and it's known as easy, comfortable, like easy sitting pose in yoga. And really, it's a seated posture like this with the ankles or the shins crossing. So try to cross higher up instead of doing crossing at the ankles, try to cross at the shins. And so the feet kind of land right underneath the knees. That's kind of how you know. You can even take your hands to the outside of your knees. And if you can kind of feel your toes on either side, you know that you've got it. So cross the right shin in front to start. And then the key to this pose, I think, is to flex the feet a little bit, keep the feet active, and that'll help you pull the legs will stay a little bit more active and pull in towards the pelvis. Just helps you find a nice kind of grounded seat that you can grow the trunk out of. So this is sukhasana. Let's take the hands behind us, lean back, and just put the left shin in front. Again, flex the feet. And you'll notice that the whatever shin is in front, that foot's going to be a little bit more forward than the opposite foot. Take the test and put the hands on the outer edges of the knees and see if you can feel the toes. Yeah, and if this is really, really binding for the hips, you know, we all have different anatomy, and based on the shape of your hips and how your thigh bone is exactly shaped determines whether some of these hip opening type things are even accessible for your specific skeleton. So don't beat yourself up if this feels like really difficult for you. I would recommend that you widen the knees a little bit, and you can still kind of cross at the shins, and maybe, you know, the back shin will rest on the heel of the front foot, and the front shin will rest on kind of more of the ball of the back leg. And then usually the hands will just come to the lap, and see if you can find a bit of ease. This is meant to be an easy sitting pose. So that's sukhasana. The next one we're going to explore is called siddhasana. So lean back and let's put the right shin in front again. This time the knees are going to come a little bit wider, and you're going to just place your right shin in front, or your right heel in front of your left heel. So notice the knees go wide, and then one foot is really in close to the groin. And the toes are a little bit more pointed, if you will, compared to sukhasana, where we activated the feet and kind of flexed the feet underneath the knees. This time the toes go long, and there's this nice like long kind of quality to the shin all the way through the ankle and the foot and the toe. And if you're sitting on a blanket or a block, you might even be able to lean forward a little bit. And so some of the weight, rather than sitting into the hips, some of the weight comes onto the shins or the legs in front of you. And then the hands can rest. I think they land really nicely right on the knees. It depends, again, how long your arms are and how long your legs are. But this one's called siddhasana. And then lean back and then put the opposite shin in front. And you'll just notice probably that one side feels a little bit easier or better than the other side. Our goal in yoga is to find a little bit of balance between both sides. So the closer you get to forgetting which side is dominant and which side is not is generally a good thing. Cool, so this time the left heel is in front. You might even feel the right heel against your body if you can pull the heels in that close. If this feels like too much, you can take the heels away from you. But I think it's easy, like essentially we want the pelvis to be in a neutral kind of orientation. And neutral for the pelvis is just barely like anteriorly tilted. So tilted forward just barely a little bit. Because the low back has that natural curve in it, the pelvis tilts slightly forward to like help accommodate that, or it's just the natural curve of the spine. So I think that that's why it feels kind of normal to like lean forward a little bit and put weight on the shins. And that is also why we lift the seat up with a blanket or a pillow, because it's pretty hard to sit fully flat on our seat and still have that natural curve of the pelvis. We tend to want to slouch the back, and then the pelvis tilts backwards, or if you considered it like a bowl, the water would pour out the back. Cool. So that's siddhasana. And now we're going to try svastikasana. So put the opposite shin in front. And this is similar to siddhasana, probably the most. This time the right foot is going to come and rest. You're going to just put the outer edge of the foot right in the crease between the hamstring and the calf, or right in just the crease of the leg of the bent left leg. And so the left heel is going to come in closer to the body, and then this just kind of sits in this crevice that you've created. And then the knee can come down towards the floor. Yeah. And so you'll notice that the left foot also kind of sits on the other side of the crease between the hamstring and the calf. Svastikasana. So this might be a little bit more difficult. It requires a little bit more external rotation of the leg that's on top, because the foot gets lifted and that requires the whole leg to turn. And another call out is that if this one might start to give you a little bit of trouble in the knee. So if there's any pain in the knee at all, you can just avoid this one completely and do sukhasana or siddhasana. And then lean back and put the other shin in front. So left shin comes in front. Yeah, and then you'll pick up the left foot and just place the outer edge of the foot in that crease of the leg, and you'll feel the right foot underneath kind of snuggle into that crease. Hands can come to the shins. And this one, again, kind of the shin points down towards the floor. This whole left leg has to externally rotate. No tweaking in the knee. If there's any pain in the knee, avoid this one. Or you can try to lift the seat even higher. That will often help with the knees. And if you feel so high off the ground that the knees are just hanging in midair, you can put blocks under the knees, or bring blankets under the knees as well. All of these postures, we're looking for an element of ease, of like steadiness and ease. Yoga originally was meant when we talked about yoga, it was really about sitting down and meditating. And so these seated postures are meant to be steady and comfortable. That's what the older text of yoga kind of tell us about yoga asanas or yoga poses, is that they should be steady and comfortable. And so that's what we're striving for in these seats as well. Thank you so much for joining me for exploring sitting poses today. I hope this is beneficial. And if you have any questions at all about these, leave a comment below. I'm always happy to answer questions or share thoughts and feedback. Thanks, guys. Namaste. If it felt difficult to access some of these seated postures or felt hard to stay in them longer than a few moments, you might have some tightness in the hips. And I would recommend checking out some of my hip opening videos right here on my channel. For today, I'm going to recommend my beginner yoga for hip opening. It offers a lot of variations with props and moves through the hip opening postures in a slow and gentle way. So give that one a watch and see how you feel.